Good evening, and welcome to another World of Warships video with Captain darkwingglacier. In this battle, I'm taking out my Tier VIII French premium battleship, the Gascon. Now, the Gascon has gotten something of a bad rap, I think. No matter, or at least most of the people on the forums and Facebook pages and so on have pretty much trashed the ship as not worth the money, completely useless, and so on. The guns are crap, and all sorts of stuff like that. Well, in my opinion, the ship isn't quite so bad. First of all, just to look at the ship, it is Tier VIII, which is matched up with the Tier VIII tech tree ship, the Richelieu. Now, if the Richelieu is the big brother to the Tier VI Dunkirk, then the Gascon is the little brother to the Tier X Republic. They have similar gun layouts, the Republic and the Gascon, one turret in the front and another turret in the back, both quad turrets. And other than that, that's kind of the main difference between it and the Richelieu, which has its primary battery all facing forward. Now, if we compare the stats of the Richelieu and the Gascon, there are differences, but they trade off. You know, the fully upgraded main battery range is 25.27 kilometers for the Richelieu, and it's 23.82 for the Gascon. So the Richelieu there does have the advantage. Reload time goes to the Gascon, though, at 28 seconds as opposed to 30 for the Richelieu. Going from there, the Sigma value for the Richelieu is 1.8, whereas it's 1.9 for the Gascon. So clearly the Gascon does have the advantage here. So if you're going to say that the Gascon's guns stink, well, then so does the Richelieu. Maybe that's kind of the point. Maybe that's what other players are saying, that both Tier VIII ships stink. But I don't think it's necessarily fair to single out the Gascon there. As far as secondary armament, they are, very similar, but not quite exactly the same. They do have the same range, however, so if you do have a secondary build for the Richelieu, you can use the same thing for the Gascon. Maximum speed is both 32 knots for both ships. The turning circle radius is exactly the same at 850 meters, and the rudder shift time is approximately the same, 15.4 for the Richelieu, 15.3 for the Gascon. So another difference is the hit points. The Richelieu has a 500 hit point advantage, 63,700 compared to the Gascon's 63,200. So again, there's just not that much difference. It's really kind of the difference in your preference of, I guess, the gun layout and what kind of battle scheme or battle strategies you like to employ. If you like to kind of bow tank a lot, then the Richelieu might be the preferable ship to you. If you are more of a flanking player who likes to keep on the move, then the Gascon might be better. So in any event, I take the Gascon out in this battle, and here is an example of, well, it's not quite there yet, but as often happens to me, is that I am not a bow tanker. I am a person who likes to keep on the move, try to get into better positions wherever possible, and that can often get me into trouble. What frequently happens is that I overextend because I'm not paying attention to my allies, I'm paying attention to the enemies, and that often gets me in trouble. So here I'm following the friendly Hatsuharu, and I am targeting the enemy Lyon, who is not looking at me at the moment, but there are two ships, or at least one. Okay, switching back between one and two ships looking at me. And I'm still firing AP at this point. I probably have my manual secondaries targeted on this guy. Since I do have a secondary build on this ship, I can use my Alsace captain, who is also, let's see, what else do I use? Anyway, it's Dasha Perova that I have, and she's maxed out at 19 points and a full secondary build. So I think I primarily use her on the Alsace, and now I have I use her on the Gascon as well. So here's an enemy Baltimore, and there's another ship out there too, a York. And I've turned away from the Lyon because I know he's going to cause me some problems if he aims his broadside at me. And now I've got these two cruisers to deal with at the same time. And before I know it, I'm almost down to 50% health. You know, these guys are just HEing me to oblivion here. I've got 2 fires on me, and ahead I see a Gneisenau as well. So it's kind of at this point where I realized, uh-oh, now I've gotten even further ahead than my Tatsuharo, who was supposed to be scouting for me, and that's not necessarily his fault, it's just mine for plowing ahead. And I'm now down to about 30% health. And I'm turning around, not quite as fast as I might like to turn around, and it's time for me to beat a hasty retreat, provided I can survive to do so. We've already lost a friendly ship, a Mogami, on the western flank, but other than that, things are still relatively even if I can survive. I only have 2 enemy ships attacking me right now. I'm kind of surprised it's not all 3 that are targeting me, but they've got another fire on me, and I'm going to be burning for quite a while since it's going to burn up long before I can repair it. And at this point I've decided, let's see, we're going to take another shot. Yeah, I'm still shooting at this guy. My since I do not have a concealment build, I'm just going to have to get out of here and hope that they start picking on someone else before they finish me off. Because there's almost no way that I'm going to get out of detection range in time to save my life. I just kind of have to speed as fast as possible, speed away as fast as possible, and get away before they kill me. So now, finally, that little detection thing has gone away. I have 7,900 hit points left, and I can finally breathe a sigh of relief. Looks like we did manage to take out the enemy Leon, and so now we're tied 1 ship apiece. So here I kick off my repair party, and I can start earning some of that, getting some of that health back. And things have gotten quiet. Maybe a little too quiet. But at this point I don't really mind, because I need the time, I need the quiet to get my health back, and I'm already being targeted again because the enemy rocket planes have detected me. So I kick off my engine boost again, and already the York is firing on me. I return fire. And let's see if I can get this guy. Okay, do a Citadel, that's not bad. Hopefully my friendly Kutuzov can finish him off. In the meantime, I'm back to almost 1/3 of my health, maybe 28%, something like that. Not quite enough for me to really want to wander back into the middle of the fight. So I'm still going to continue to kite for a little bit. Things are not going so well on our western flank. We've lost 2 more ships. We've lost a pair of Colorados, which is not necessarily good. So this York looks like he's going to burn out, and, well, not quite, but the Kutuzov does manage to finish him off, so that's good. We gain a little bit of ground back. The enemy still is ahead by 100 points, and I'm starting to turn back into the fight again since I'm approaching, but haven't quite made it to 50% of my health back. And we just lost our Minsk, so now we're down 4-2. I'm starting to aim at the Baltimore, who was heading again in our direction. And he's also maneuvering behind this island. So at this point, things are not looking so good for our team. They definitely have the advantage in points. And as so often happens, the instant I get my guns lined up on a target, it disappears. Since I see some torpedo planes heading this way, I kick off my fighters, but it looks like he's going after the Hatsuharu and not me, but at the very least maybe I can kill some of his planes. But strangely enough, my catapult fighters do not go to his aid, they just start circling me instead, so his second attack wave may be coming towards me. One of the things I do have to say is that I definitely like the new special effects they have for the carrier fighters. I'm still not all that excited about the catapult planes. I kind of liked the way they worked in the past. And if you come under the attention of a enemy carrier, you don't just get blapped in like one-shotted by a midway like happened to me numerous times in my past, but now you just have to deal with constant non-stop harassment. He will, a small force will break off from the main group that attacks you. You evade that attack, and it's not over, because then he has at least 2 more attacks that he can come after you with. So it's definitely more interesting in that you don't just get to evade one attack and then you're safe for another 3 minutes or so. Now a carrier can definitely tie up a single ship for a much longer time than he could in the past. Of course, they don't have the ability to do that to multiple ships simultaneously, since they only have one wave at a time. But if you're under the constant harassment of a carrier, he can keep you tied up for minutes upon minutes at a time. Oh, looks like my Norton security suite is made sure that my computer's doing okay. Sometimes when I record these, I don't notice these little things until it's too late. So the Kutuzov is now coming under attack by the carrier. He is trying to flee away. I'm able to shoot down a plane here or there, and looks like he survived that one. Things have somewhat evened up, but we are still definitely behind. We have lost 6 ships to the enemy's 5. Most of the ships appear to be kind of at range at this point, so maybe me and the Kutuzov can do some damage over here. And he immediately points out the Gascon, who's now popped up behind the island. And at this point I figure out, okay, this is a guy that I can probably take on myself, even though, I mean, he is 1 tier below me, but he has a lot more health than I do at this point. And he probably, or it's likely he has a secondary build. He has torpedoes, which are definitely an advantage. I do have speed on him. I do have better guns. And I do have secondaries, which have now begun to open up. So I begin to close on him, and my Kutuzov ally is peppering him with HE shells as well, which is definitely contributing. And if I can stay relatively bow on, except when I need to fire, I gotta avoid that island though, because this would be terrible if I smashed into it at this point. So I cut my engine and go hard starboard. And now I get attacked by the rocket plane, so that's not so good. My secondaries are getting some hits though, although the Gascon still has a troubling amount of health left compared to mine. And it's this point I realized, maybe I should start considering the ram. But also at the same point, I know that he's going to be launching torpedoes any second now, if he hasn't already done it. So I have to watch out for them. And there they are, right on cue. Fortunately, I turned inside of them, and it looks like he may be considering the ram as well. Now, often what I like to do is that I make it look like I'm going to ram, and then at the last second, I just don't continue the turn into him, and I go right past him. That usually catches them off guard, because the fight isn't quite over as soon as they thought it might be. So I fire my rear turret at close range. I go well past him. My secondaries are continuing to fire. I set him on fire. And now I have some enemy torpedo planes to worry about as well. So things got complicated pretty fast. Fortunately, the torpedo planes are coming in on my bow. If I can turn really fast, I can avoid this one, and I do. So that's lucky. My secondaries are continuing to chip away at this Gascon now. And his health gets down low enough, and boom, the fire takes him out. And here comes more torpedo planes right at my stern. And fortunately, I'm well angled to avoid any incoming shots. So I would say my survival at this point is at least in part due to the fact of 2 poor drops by the carrier player. If he was a little more patient, he probably could have aligned better drops on me, and at least have landed 1 torpedo per per salvo that he let go. So while I'm running away from torpedoes, I might as well get a shot off at Baltimore over there. And I don't think I'm going to cause any hits. But at this point, I realize when I look up at the stats, uh-oh, we are outnumbered now 2-1. It is me, a New Orleans, our carrier, the Ryujo, against 6 enemy ships. It's at this point I pretty much realize, okay, this is where the enemy carrier is, and he's going to be harassing me, so I decide, alright, I'm just going to take the fight to him and see if I can take him out. And there he is! Take one shot off before the bombers drop on me. Launch my last group of defensive fighters. They get a Citadel on the Ranger, which is, you know, nothing to get too excited about, but I also noticed that the Ranger is not moving at all. He's still just sitting there. In the meantime, my AA are slowly chipping away at his fighters. He drops bombs and does not get any hits on me, so this carrier player he can't be all that experienced in the carriers. He's still learning, and I do not mean that as a criticism at all. I have tried playing the Ranger in a couple games, and I absolutely stink at it. So I am not faulting him for having a difficult time going after me. And I'm actually quite thankful that he's not doing that, because it's keeping me alive. Here comes his rocket planes, which are by far the easiest things to hit with. And this could be the end of me. So I just start turning into them anyway. He does hit me. Fortunately, I do manage to get another Citadel, and I get kill number 2. And this is another thing about the carrier rework, is that once the carrier's dead, you can still control any airplanes you still have in the air until they're out of ammunition, which is definitely a change from the old way of doing things. But if you're not prepared for that, it can catch you unawares and get you in some trouble. So that Baltimore is still hiding behind the island. I just take another shot. We lose our New Orleans, and now it's just the carrier and me. I think this game is going to end up being a loss. However, you know, maybe not. Maybe if I can get into their base, I can start capping their base before they start capping ours, and that would be quite the turn of events. Me coming away with a solo warrior, well, assuming they get our carrier, that is, or the two of us pulling off a victory by me capping their base at the last second while they're all trying to chase him down. But we do see a Z-39 in very close proximity to our carrier, whose days are almost certainly numbered. And yeah, I don't think he's long for this world, because he's just not going to survive against that Z-39, who does have full health. But I'm still charging towards the cap, and I do see a smoke screen light up, which means torpedoes are on the way. Fortunately, I guessed that a little bit, you know, just in time, that is, and I'm able to dodge them, because one torpedo hit and I'm gone. Now, unfortunately, they are capping our base. We did lose our carrier, so it's just me. So really, there's not much I can do, but I'm going to do my best to try to sell my life dearly, or at least survive until the end, and maybe get rid of this guy who's hiding out in the smoke, at least for honor's sake. Of course, his torpedoes were launched a while ago. It is undoubtedly the enemy Fubuki, so I don't remember the reload off the top of my head, but I'm going to have to be aware of torpedoes coming at me any second. He does not have me detected. So but as soon as I get into the cap, he's going to know it. So either he's running away. Okay, here come more torpedoes. So he's still in the smoke. And that's the second group of torpedoes. He probably has a third in reserve as a last resort. So either he's running now. No, he's definitely still in the cap, though. So he's going to be close. And I'm going to have to be ready for that. And there he is. We line up the guns. And bye-bye. So now it's just me against the 4 enemy ships. Now, it's at this point, I'm feeling pretty good about what I've done in the game. I definitely contributed, but it definitely was not enough to get a victory, but I'm thinking, look, it's just me against 4 enemy ships. Please, can I have the solo warrior? That would be so cool. Of course, so now I'm like, there's no point in hiding. I'm just going to fire some shells, see if I can reset the cap down there or not, because that would be fun. But it's going to be 2 minutes and 20 seconds until I can capture the base. But there's only 7 seconds remaining in the game, so victory is going to be out of my reach for this game, and it's going to be over. Even so, I think I did pretty well. The Gascon is a pretty good ship, and I do like it. So 138,000 damage, 3 kills. I do get Dreadnought for surviving that, and I come in first place on my team. So I hope you enjoyed that video, and thank you very much for watching.